Well, Brazil has been, of course, the star performer. It's taken ROE from 14 to close to 17% this year, and based on very strong top-line growth, close to 20% revenue growth, and doing things really the right way for customers, growing loyal customers, digital, doing really well on digital. So very good performance in Brazil. Mexico also. Actually, all of Latin America has done very well.
But do you worry about protectionist measures taking force in 2018 after we've heard noise from President Trump?
Well, as I say, what I look to is the actions. And actually what the U.S. has done in terms of, the economy is pretty good. The tax bill is very encouraging. With us and others, we're going to put that back into higher wages and more lending to customers. New administration has all the right attitude in terms of supporting growth and making banks support growth again through all these measures. And so, we're very encouraged about how we see the U.S. economy.
What are you expecting interest rates to do, and how does that help with markets, volatility, and a lot of your businesses?
Well, it's a double-edged sword for banks, right? Because if rates go up and we have a slightly more positive yield curve, which is happening, that's good, as long as they don't go up too much. That's an ideal situation for banks. However, we're all somewhat concerned what happens when QE ends. What does it mean for markets? Is it going to give, we saw it yesterday in the market, bond prices and also actually equities doing not very well. So that is one of the things to look out for this year.
Anna, but in your outlook on the UK, how's that going? If Brazil is your star performer and the US is doing well, are you worried about the UK?
So I'd like to separate the UK as a country and our bank, because, our bank has done really well this year. If you look at the top line, it's growing around 5% in constant currency in sterling. Costs are growing less than that, so we have what we call positive jaws, and actually pretty good performance. However, there is a slowdown in the economy, and 2018, probably UK is the country that is going to grow least. For us, every single country this year in 2017 and again in 2018 is expected to grow. But the one where growth will be less, probably around 1.4, something like this, will be the UK.
Will Brexit mean that you have to move some of the investment banking or investment bankers outside of the UK?
We have very few, so we're very much, as I say, we're the most British of the British banks. And by the way, the most resilient, according to Bank of England stress test, so that's a very good place to be in this situation. So for us, it's whatever happens to the UK economy, we'll be tied to that. But we will do better. In a less good scenario, Santander UK will tend to outperform.
Anna, but when you look at your assets across the world, is there a region, is there a country where you want to be stronger? Is there a space that you see Santander getting into?
Well, I always say we're in 10 markets with 1 billion people. We have 133 million customers. And the strategy we followed is to have more loyal customers, more digital customers. And there's still a huge opportunity for us to grow on an organic basis. We have done a few deals, most of them relatively small, in Poland, in Argentina, in Portugal. And this is good because we're the buyer of choice in many of these markets. We always will be very strict and very disciplined in our investment criteria, so we said no a number of times. But the most important thing is that we do have organic growth within our customer base.
Talk to me a little bit about digital. This has grown exponentially, and how many transactions do people now do on their mobiles?
No, we're super excited about this. We're building global platforms. So we started the investment in digital in 15 and 16. And that year, the growth was 7%. Last year, 2017, the growth was 155%. So digital transactions have gone from 4 million per month to 10 million per month. Spain has quadrupled. Brazil has multiplied by 3, UK by 2.5. So today, 39% of all transactions at the Santander Group are digital, and sales, customer sales, are 31%. So this is a huge change for us, and we're very excited about what this means for customers and what this means for our shareholders also.
What's the dividend policy for the future?
So we stated our dividend policy last year, and I invite you to our AGM because that's when we will say what dividend policy will be for this year. But we've grown our dividend by 11%, cash dividend per share. So that is a very good thing for our shareholders. Our share price obviously has done quite well this year, around 20-something% up. So we expect to keep a dividend policy between 30 to 40, roughly, of underlying profit distribution. And that is something which our shareholders... Earnings per share have grown, by the way, on an underlying basis, 8%, and as reported, also up 1%.
And Botín, talk to me a little bit about your capital. So you've raised capital twice. You're a little bit below some of your peers. How do you justify that?
Well, it's the business model. And so what matters is not the headline number, but it's the buffers against the minimum. And so, again, we're a bank that is the most predictable. 20 years, Bloomberg data, by the way, so I hope
Always correct.
Okay. So for 20 years, Santander has grown profits by 4 times and has had 9% average EPS volatility, quarterly EPS volatility. That is the best among all the top banks in the world. We do very well on the stress test. So these are the reasons why, we have a lower requirement than others.
But do investors see that? Do investors,
yes,
they see that, they understand that,
yeah.
They understand the business model?
Absolutely. Look, if you look at 2017, we generated 53 basis points of organic capital. We spent 20 basis points on all these acquisitions. So if we wanted to generate 50 basis points, we could do that in 1 year. So the reason is we found good opportunities to increase the business and make the business stronger. And so we are absolutely on target to be above 11% next year.
Okay, talk to me about the biggest risk that you see for 2018. What is it?
Well, it's very difficult to predict, but I think as everybody, we're looking at what happens when rates normalize. There's geopolitical risk all over the place in different shapes and forms. So, for us, it's all about execution. We have a strategy, we have the scale in market, we are diversified, we're investing in technology, innovation. So it's really about external events, what can happen. But I think for the next 12 months, the economies will continue to do well.